The Halloween on this park is amazing. We're in Movie Park today. We're doing this Halloween tour that we're going to all these parks but focusing on the Halloween events. So yesterday we were in Toverland, make sure to watch that video as well. We have the first show starting 10 to 6 p.m. Until there we're just gonna do a couple of rides. We already have a full vlog on Movie Park, so if you wanna know more about the rides, make sure to check that video. It's almost 6 p.m. now, we're here at the entrance of the park, waiting for the first show that is like the parade.
Yeah, so the monster's about to come out.
It's super busy. To get to the first thing that we're doing, which is the actual show.
Parade was just releasing all the monsters. It's not very long, but it's quite atmospheric.
There's so many people here.
There's crowd control on the buildings, watching all the crowds, because it is a lot of people. And I just think that's really good to make you feel safe. Very busy, very well organised.
We just did the show now. Unhallowed. They have 2 other shows that are free. This is the only one that you need to pay for, but it's only 3 euros. A show that have like dancing and pyrotechnics and
Lots of fire.
yeah, a lot of fire.
It was meant to be a freak show, but there wasn't too many freak stunts. But there were a few illusion acts in there as well. I thought it was quite good that it had a story, and so it flowed quite well from start to finish.
I really like this show. I don't understand why it's an upcharge, but it's only 3 euros, so it was worth doing. We just did the Elmo maze. It was so weird.
There was an actor at the back with like a stick who kept probing us and making us squeal. And if we didn't squeal, it just kept poking us harder.
It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was weird. I felt like it was really scary in places.
Yeah, it was scary, and then some places felt really empty. It was only our group walking around. We didn't saw another group, any other people. In a way, it kind of felt like it was scarier because it was just us there.
I feel like it lacked a bit of atmosphere. It needed some more music and or sound effects. But outside of that, I thought it was quite a good start.
Talking about no music and sound effects, we're doing the quiet place now.
So now we're off to a quiet place, which is in one of the studios. So Movie Park does have its own studios at the back.
Yeah, it's quite cool that we're actually exiting the park to go do the maze inside the studio.
Reminds you a little bit of Universal Studios, doesn't it?
We just did the Universal Halloween Horror Nights, and they had a quiet place there as well. So it'll be really cool to compare the 2 of them. Right, I'm gonna say something that I was not expecting that I was gonna say. This was way better than Universal.
Way better than Universal.
So much better. The Universal one doesn't have the aspect of being a quiet place. It was just the monster going on every time. And the monster is quite shit, to be honest. So you have the monster going up over and over and over again. Gets repetitive. It's such loud music, loud noise. Everyone is screaming. So you don't have the atmosphere. Here, they don't have many jump scares at all. The actors are just taking you around the story, but you feel like part of the story. So everything was in complete silence. You had to be quiet throughout the whole time. They just tell you to be quiet. It creates that atmosphere of like something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
I think it was brilliant. I think it was a lot better than Universal Studios because it had the build-up and you had the anticipation waiting for the monster. So when you finally saw the monster at the end, it became like, wow. The only thing is it needed more of the monster after that. Whereas Universal Studios just kept showing you the monster from the beginning. So therefore you had no build-up. This was a perfect build-up, but the ending did let it down slightly. But overall I thought it was brilliant.
It's everything that I would expect from a maze from the quiet place. I think they did it perfectly. The setting was really good as well. I'm really impressed with this maze. We just did the circus now.
It's the weakest.
Yeah, it really is. I like the idea of doing a circus, but everything looks so cheap inside.
It's temporary setup, it's tense at best, and the actors don't look very scary.
This was only €5, so it's the cheapest place as well. Across the lake here, they do have a show. We were planning to get this show after the Quiet Place and before doing the circus, but the queues are quite big in the mazes. We need to plan this quite tight as well because they have so many mazes and shows and stuff that you need to book all of them in advance. So everything was like 15 minutes apart from each other. And we were trying to do the show, but because we're spending more than 15 minutes on the queues and the mazes, we ended up missing it. But I don't think it would be like a very good show anyway. We know already that we might have the chance to miss it. We're just going on Hell House now. They have a warning outside that is quite concerning. We need to go through narrow spaces and climb.
We have to put a sleep mask on, and we're going on a bus.
We need to take this bus to the location. We are already tight on time. Now it's 8:30. This maze was booked for 8:15. So they're quite okay for you to get stuff after the time that you had booked it. But we need to rush to finish everything before the park closes.
It's like a behind the scenes of the show here.
It's so cool the way they take us on the bus through the show area. We just did the Hell House. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the favourite here by far, long way.
It's so good. You take this bus that takes you here. The bus has nothing to do with it. It's just because it's outside the park, so you had to take the bus. But then it's so cool inside. You're going through this house and has all these rooms. It's really well done. You need to crawl in some places.
There's a point we had to crawl under a bed. We were
So,
like, really?
no, that was my favorite part because you are in this girl's room and then you crawl under the bed and then when you get out on the other side you are in this dollhouse. That was so clever.
And it ends with a slide, correct?
Yeah, and then you get a slide to the exit. That was amazing. Like so many parts of this. I feel like all the set pieces were awesome. All the scenarios were awesome.
There's a Ouija board at one scene.
Yeah, it was very interactive and the actors were amazing. That was by far my favorite maze.
It was very varied, lots of different things going on. So it wasn't very samey. Everything was different. Every room had something unique to what would be in a house. I think they smashed it with this one.
There's nothing I would say like to make this better. I think it was absolutely perfect. The whole experience is really cool. Like taking the bus here and the anticipation. I really, really enjoyed it.
So now we're waiting to get the bus back because we've got our next maze and we're running late for it.
Our next maze is booked at 8:30 and it's already 9:05. We really need to rush. I'm concerned that we won't have time to do everything. Yeah. So one of the main things that we wanted to do tonight was the movie studio tour again, which is the roller coaster. They changed it during the Halloween time and it's really, really cool. But
we're not going to have time for that tonight. We've done it before. It's really, really cool. They changed Sam. It's going to kill you, and it's
the mascot of the park. So now we're concerned that we're not going to do all the mazes.
We waited like 20 minutes for the bus to return.
It was so long, the wait to get in the bus and then to get back to the park. And the thing is, we planned the mazes in an order that they were right next to each other. And it would be the minimum time walking between one and the other. We're gonna do now the slaughterhouse that is right next to the Hell House. But the bus back from the Hell House, it was right by the Quiet Place, which is quite a walk.
The furthest point it could have dropped us.
So take that in consideration when you're planning something to do after the Hell House. You're gonna be dropped right in the entrance for the Quiet Place. The whole process of doing Hell House took us 1 hour between getting in the queue, waiting for the bus, going on the bus, waiting in the queue after we got off the bus, doing the maze, waiting for the bus again, getting the bus and then walking back. This took us 1 hour. So it is worth doing because it is the best maze here, but you need to take that in consideration when you're planning your day.
Slaughterhouse was okay. You just sort of saw them cut up some people. They jump scared you a little bit like that, and then you end up in a room just filled with smoke, and you can't really see where you're going. And that's kind of like the big unique thing of it. It is quite cool that you can't really see where you're going, and there is a lot of smoke in there, and you can't really see in front of you. But that's about it. And then you find the door and you leave.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't quite like it. I think it was alright, but it's not one of the strongest for me. The room with the smoke was really cool. No! This is probably going to be our last maze. This queue here is quite big, which is really disappointing. We have 2 more to do at the entrance of the park.
It's annoying because you have to pay for it in advance. We did not expect Hell House to take an hour.
We didn't stop for anything. We went to the toilet once and it was like a 5-minute break in a way from one maze to the other. So you don't have time to do everything if you don't have the fast passes. And if you want to do all the mazes and the show. There is another show as well that is free. We chose to skip this one because even on planning, there was no way to fit that in. We made it! They had all of them! We're just here on the last one. I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
And we got in late.
Yes, I'm so excited. We just ended the night on the Murder Museum. I'm so glad they let us in here because this was one of the best. I love this one. It's so interactive and it's not just a maze to just go and get scared. It starts with a story. You're going to the museum. They are actually giving you a tour on a museum.
They tell you about a load of different serial killers, but they tell it in detail.
Yes, it was so interesting to actually have the talk. It's very, very interactive and they did it just for our group, so it was really cool. This was really worth doing. So we left the 2 mazes by the entrance last, but make sure to go on this one. The other one, Chupacabra, it was...
I liked it. It was kind of different. It was you're in the dark and you've got to follow a rope all the way around. A few people in our group didn't like it because of the dark. It was a bit too much for them.
Yes, that's me. I'm the one that is just, I don't like being in the dark and not knowing what's going on. It was cool on Slaughterhouse when you have this smoke effect. There, I thought it was just it's just not my style, but it was okay. But it was quite weak comparing to some of the others, right?
I quite liked it.
Really? You think it was good?
I preferred it to a few of them. I quite liked the theme of the Day of the Dead, so I did quite like parts of it.
Yeah, some parts were actually very good, the setting that they have. And before that, we did the final stop, which was also so good. One of the best.
I was okay with it. I liked it, but you're on your knees quite a lot, and there was a lot of weird dead ends, I felt, and it got a little bit confusing at times. So they give you a helmet with lights and a high-vis jacket each.
I'm quite happy with the day because we ended up doing all the mazes. That's the main thing that I was really concerned. So you do need to book a time slot. It's very tight, but they let you in no matter what your time slot was, and they also let you in after the park was closed. I don't think they would let you go on all the mazes. I think because the ones in the entrance, they didn't have any queue, they let us in. But the one like the Slaughterhouse, when we left Final Stop, the Slaughterhouse and the Final Stop were already closed with no one there. So I think we won't be able to go on them. But on the entrance, they still have the staff on, and we asked and they said that we could go.
I would skip the Circus of Freaks maze if you were coming here and you wanted to do everything. That's the weakest one, and then that will give you that extra window to get the rest of the maze. I would also consider skipping the show if you wanted to get all the mazes done.
Yes, the show was worth doing, but considering that they are advertised to try to get there a little bit earlier, they advertised to get half an hour early. And if you want to get a spot, it was quite empty. It was okay to be there a little bit later, but we wanted to guarantee a spot, and then it's a half an hour show, so we ended up losing a little bit of time there as well. If you want to do the coasters, it is worth doing at night because it's really cool to see the Halloween layover that they have. So I'm quite upset that we missed the coaster, but the focus was the mazes, so I'm really happy with my night here. I would like for them to start the mazes a little bit earlier. So they start at 6 and the park is closing now at 10. If they started a little bit earlier, we would have more time to do everything.
And shut later.
Yeah, and if they shut a little bit later as well.
Overall, I think this is one of the weaker Halloween events that we've done. I prefer Toverland. I think the scare zones are better in Toverland, and I think the scare mazes are better in Toverland. I find that everything here feels a little bit cheap. I do think it's a good event, but I just don't think it's the best Halloween event that I've done.
I disagree. I think some of the best mazes here are even better than the ones in Toverland. I think it's really, really good, some of the mazes. Like the Quiet Place, for example, was even better than the one in Universal. I was really impressed with that.
I think A Quiet Place was a very good maze, and Hell House was a very good maze. So I did really like them, but I feel as an event, I would prefer Toverland.
Yes, as the whole event, yes. As the mazes, I think this one stands out quite well.
A lot of the mazes you are on your knees for, so you need to be very careful and very good at being on your knees and climbing around like that.
I quite like the aspect of doing this because it becomes something different.
I like the idea of doing it once or twice, but by the end of the night, your knees start to ache a little bit. Bumper Tom, how's your knees?
Really bad. There were 5 different mazes where you had to go on your knees, and it's horrible, and it really hurts, and it ruins your jeans. You're vulnerable because when you're on your knees, they can start grabbing your ankles, they grab your hair, they grab everywhere.
Not everywhere.
Hell House, had to take a bus there. It was the scary, had the most jump scares by a mile. And honestly, the feeling's incredible.
Hell House.
Murder Museum, I really liked it because the beginning was all real life stuff. It was a tour around real killers. And then the actual maze was really good. There's some really good jump scares.
Hell House, yeah, definitely.
Murder Museum. I loved it. First scare got me, and that was it for the rest of the night. I was on edge.
Final stop, most immersive one, and the rat scare at the end got me. Spoilers, shit. Probably worst one, to go for Circus. Very, very tame. It was missing a lot of actors. I'd say it was quite empty.
Definitely the Circus. It was just no actors, no nothing. It was rubbish.
And the worst one was Circus by far. Circus was really bad. It was boring and short.
The worst one has got to be the Circus.
Definitely the Circus. Circus of Freaks, yeah. The drag queen at the beginning was awesome and the rest was trash.
The circus. That was naff. They could get rid of that and give us some more time around the other mazes.
It's like we said, the circus is the weakest one. We all agree with that. The best ones.
So I have Hell House number 1, Quiet Place number 2. No one mentioned Quiet Place.
I really like Quiet Place, but because Hell House was so good, I feel like I have them really, really tight. Hell House, Quiet Place, and Murder Museum. And then
Murder Museum, I do
Yeah.
rank. I found the end of Murder Museum. They grabbed our friend Anthony and they told him that he was the murderer, and then they put him on an electric chair. But we didn't know that. We walked into a separate room and we watched him get electrocuted. So that was quite funny.
that was amazing. The whole story until you get to that point is really good. And then on 4th place, I would say the final stop.
Circus at the bottom. I'd
Yeah,
put
and then the others are kind of-
Slaughterhouse I'd put near the bottom. I like the Mexican Day of the Dead one.
Chupacabra.
I enjoyed that, but not as the top one, but like as something different. So I'd put that above Slaughterhouse for me. It has some really good jump scares in that one.
In general, I think it's really worth coming to this Halloween event. And tomorrow we're going to Traumatica, which is Europa Park's Halloween event. So make sure to subscribe and watch this vlog next.